Oh, I cannot believe I'm about to do this. This is actually about to cause me to possibly get a little emotional. But what's about to happen is we are first and foremost. Hello, my name is Jared Walker. Just in case you didn't know, and now you know exactly who it is that's speaking to you. I'm about to go through the whole process. Well, not all of it. I don't know if I have time for all of it, but how I unmuted myself. I knew too many people and know too many people that are still muted. And I actually wanted to be the person that makes you aware of your options and opportunities. Now, just for the actual purpose of you knowing what's going on, when I'm looking right here, I'm looking directly at my camera and all that good stuff. When I'm looking over here, I'm actually looking at the the computer screen because I gotta watch these actual comments and everything. But this is about to you might want to buckle up because this is about to get real dramatic. This is about to get real cinematic too. I'll be playing my music and it will be going and going and going as it pertains to this story. Because this story right here didn't start yesterday. It didn't start last week. Today is a tough, rough day for a lot of people. Today is March 10th, 2025. It was actually March 10th, 2017. That's the last time I spoke with my father, my biological father, the man that did not raise me, but he is my progenitor. He's no longer living. We were having a conversation. Ain't that how it always goes? Well, we got to take it back some because this ain't one of those, "Oh, I'm just going to tell you this little story." Nah, this story right here, this is how Jared became the person that so many people respect. But in order to understand the perspective, you have to have an actual grasp on the pain. You don't understand a person's pain, then you lack perspective. And limited perspective will always produce an unlimited assumptions. Unlimited assumptions come from a limited perspective. However, an unlimited perspective will always produce, at the very least, of an accurate understanding. So, I want to make sure I do this right though, because this is not just one of those, hey, just sit back and watch somebody talk. I will even go as far as to potentially invite some of you up because this is one of those type of video. This is one of those type of conversations and I want to make sure I do it right. So we got to start where it all started. Where did it start? Well, I'm not gonna go back as far as you may think. There was a point of time where I was so focused on everything going on in my personal life all around me, thinking I just gotta be this type of man and I gotta be this type of person and I gotta be this type of this and be this type of that. That the whole time I was doing all that I was doing, I was actually neglecting my family. Now, at this point, I'm a husband, I'm married, and I got two little ones at the crib. And all I was doing was focusing on, okay, I gotta do ministry. I gotta be at the church. So every Sunday, every Wednesday, and then in between, I will be up at the church, sometimes on Tuesdays or Mondays, and I will be studying and connecting with people and doing all this stuff. Meanwhile, I ain't at home. And that's a value of mine. I never wanted to be the father who was physically present but mentally gone. Because I understand how that could be. You don't ever want to be the guy that feels like, okay, well, I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing. Meanwhile, your family feels the opposite. They're like, yeah, you present, but you a mannequin. you're, you're just a placement holder. I never wanted to be that type of father. I never wanted to be the type of father that was physically present, but never spending time. I don't like to spend time. I invest it. Never investing time with his own kids. Like my kids in one room, my wife in a room, and me, I'm going doing something else in the same home. I never wanted that. So this is going to be video one of me actually showing you. I told y'all this fits to get deep. This fits to get real deep. Today is one of them type of videos. So I I was being negligent. I'm just gonna call it like it is. I was being very negligent. I was neglecting my duties as a husband. I was neglecting my duties as a father to my firstborn. I was neglecting my duties as a father to my secondborn. I remember one time, it was so bad. I was so daggum negligent. I called myself saying, I gotta go to work. I gotta get to work. And I gotta get my sleep. And I went from my bedroom where my wife and I were sharing a room with our newborn son, and I dipped from out of there to go sleep in his actual room. And I tell you what, hey, look, if you don't, like, if you ever heard me say this, I do not agree with happy wife, happy life. Nope. Happy mama means no drama. And I am telling you that my wife, as a mama, was not happy. Cause I'm like, I gotta get up and go to work. Well, I went to the other room and went to go sleep. Boy, she brought that baby up in there and sat him next to me. Said, "Oh, somebody got to get some rest, and it's gonna be me tonight." Why? Because that's my responsibility. It's my role. It's my duty. I'm supposed to be supporting her and helping her. And we had the baby together, so we both need to be responsible for the pain. Well, here's a perspective. I didn't understand what was going on. I was so focused on, well, I got to do this and I got to do that and I got to make sure I do this and that, not realizing, like, bruh, you missing the whole point. If you in this thing together, then you got to literally do all of it together, not just some of it. So by the time we got to baby number 3, that's when I finally started making the connections. It started kind of just clicking to me. Now I'm about to share with y'all an actual video. Now this video, this is the old Jared. This video, this is one of them videos where I don't know too many people who actually have done this and experienced this. But what I was doing in this video is a byproduct of who I had become. See, I got injured, y'all. I got injured and I was not able to physically do the things that I used to do. And because I got injured, uh I had to reset. Now I'm about to show y'all. I'm about to pause for a moment and cut the talking so I can show you better than I can tell you what I'm talking about. Here is the video. This is my first video, by the way, um, ever on the internet, like that I ever posted on the internet. And it wasn't even for it wasn't for social media. I was doing what I normally do for my family. Well, the thing is, my wife said, I think you should put that out. I was like, really? I was just doing it for my kids. So in the future, they can refer back to this and understand what daddy was doing. She said, nah, I think you should put that out there. It might help somebody. So let's see if this is helpful to you. Here goes my first ever video for the internet. This is what I was doing. Man, it is January 31st, 2021. Crazy, huh? I am now quite a few things. One, the newest thing is I'm a father of 3. 2, I'm a business owner. 3, I'm a husband. Been married now going on 8 years. And it's a whole lot of things that I've learned over the last couple of years. I was real hesitant on a lot of things. I'm not the most private person. If you talk to me, I'm pretty transparent. But when it comes to putting my business on the internet, I think that's kind of weird. I don't do that. But I think I'm gonna do that for the first time. Nothing too personal, just, what matters. Putting together a lot of different things in my head. I'm trying to get these thoughts out correctly. If y'all could only see what I'm looking at right now. So, one of the biggest things that I was running for last year, in 2020, at the beginning of the year in January, I was trying to put something together for men. It was called the Men's Table. And I had been running hard with that thing before 2020. I started really in 2019.
and to be honest with you, even before then. But unfortunately, it went from the men's table to me focusing on recovery. So I uh, I had two back injuries in 2020. Um, the first one started January 29th, and I went out of work. I had been out of work. I was out of work before COVID hit, so I was already at home with the family trying to get well. Um, COVID hit though hard, really in March, and everything got held up for me. So my process of recovery got delayed. And then by the time I was actually able to start back on the process, I still wasn't feeling right, and I didn't know what was going on. Man, come to find out, I had a whole nother back injury from deviated situations to bulging disc. You know, it's crazy. And that first one hit right before February. You know, for those of you who don't know, my birthday is in February. It's February 9th. So 1990 to be exact. So right before I turned 30, I started having these back issues. I was like, yo, man, is this what 30 gonna look like? So, man, I spent the majority of the year trying to get well. And what started as a physical situation turned into way more, way more. At that time, I was a husband and a father of two. And man, just trying to physically get well with a toddler and a preschooler who look at daddy as Superman. It's not an easy process because I was doing things I ain't had no business doing. Trying to do things that I had no business trying to do because I failed miserably. Hurt myself a little more in the process. Don't tell my doctor. But long story short, from January to October, I still had some recovering to do, but it was nowhere near where it started at. So I went from having back issues in January to starting a business, and with anticipation of, a newborn on the way. Uh, COVID, man, the whole quarantine.
If you notice, that Jared is not this Jared. Like I'm still me. I'm me. But notice the way that I communicate. Like what y'all don't know is this man is actually suffering and he don't even know it. This man that y'all are looking at, he doesn't even know just where he is truly at in his life. Oh, but wait, this is January 31st, 2021. He doesn't know what's coming in April. Actually, it was May of 2021. He ain't got a clue. See, this man is so focused on trying to be a better husband, be a better father. You about to find out what I'm actually holding. What you about to see in this video is some stuff that I'm doing in this video. You're gonna be like, wait a minute, Jerry, you did what? Yes, this was my first ever video, but I want you to see the difference in the tonality, the way that he speaks, the way that he positions himself. There's a lot of I just wasn't who I am now. This man was still muted. That was muted Jared. That Jared was still muted. Okay, back to it. Here you go.
And whatnot, man, a lot happened for me for the better. You know, my heart goes out to all of those who lost individuals in this process and still losing people, man. This is crazy, but I know everybody's circumstances ain't the same. Other people had issues before COVID came about, dealing with their health outside of just a back injury, but various illnesses still exist, still a reality for them. But I also know that in the midst of a pandemic, man, blessings has still been a part of my process. Man, God is still good. And he ain't never gonna stop being good, no matter what anybody got to say. I have been able to not only grow and get well physically, but mentally, spiritually, I've grown. I've grown. It's the 31st today. Tomorrow's February 1st. I'll be 31 next week. And that just hit me. I'll be 31 next week. 3 kids before 30. Married 8 years. Together more.
I don't know what I was thinking. I said before 30. No, I had 3 kids by the time I was 31. Had 3 kids by 30. Well, I just wanted to put that correction out there because I know my wife, she be like, you need to tell the truth. Okay, I'm going to say whatever is true on the internet. Here it is. That's the correction.
In a decade with my wife. Second time starting a business. First time I didn't know what I was doing. I was young, ambitious, but zeal without knowledge is not good. That's my son, if y'all can hear him. I got a boy and 2 girls. A lot has changed. I have been impacted in various ways, especially by having another little girl. Daddy's girls. But the reason I wanted to make this video was because I got to thinking about different perspectives, different situations, and different circumstances for various people. And one thing that I do know is, as a husband and as a father, man, I got a lot of hats. I got more hats than I can even think of right now. I'm a teacher at my church. I'm a father to my children. All 3 of them require different levels of attention. I'm a husband to my wife. I'm a couple of different people's brother by blood, others by relationship. Business owner. I'm a man first, And with all of these different hats, it's just a lot of stuff. Somebody friend, somebody uncle, I ain't nobody granddaddy. But in understanding certain things, I understand that there are a lot of people that I've known personally who have not gotten to the place of where I'm at in life. No knock on them, but I know certain people that I know that still doing things that we was doing when I was in my early 20s, teenage years, and I couldn't really understand what I understand had I not been right there with those individuals. But just thinking about them and then looking at what I'm doing right now, I said, man, look, I have not been on social media active in the last 3-4 years. I don't post. I don't put my business out there. It's personal. If you know me, then you get to know me. If you don't know me, then I don't think that's anybody's business what I be doing. But if you know me, you can just hit my line. I talk. But one of the things I'm doing right now got me to thinking. So we blessed to have a situation where my wife is able to produce milk for our newborn in vast quantities. It was the same thing for our last baby. It's a lot of milk. And I got to thinking, I said, man, I know cats that's sitting down, breaking down weed, packaging it up and doing all these things. No knock on you, bro. What's this? I'm sitting there looking, I'm like, yo, I don't sell drugs. But man, I'm sitting here legit doing something that a father, only a husband or a father can understand, that actually cares about their children, that actually cares about their wife, that actually wants to be present, that actually is present. I know everybody's situation is different, everybody's circumstance is different. I am not judging anybody, and I don't feel the need to put that disclaimer out there. I don't agree you got to tell everybody you're not judging. If you're not judging, then it shouldn't be felt that way anyways. But I still want to just say, I ain't judging you, bro. If you ain't there and all that good stuff, but I know my situation, and I know how I wish things were for me, personally. And different sectors of my life. And just looking at this, right? This is where the personal side comes in, y'all. Man, I'm sitting up here bagging milk, breast milk. I'm legit measuring this stuff out, writing down numbers. Every one of them got to be the same. It's got to match up. These bags, we don't need them to burst. We've been there before, you know. You know I'm somebody, daddy. I got a Hello Kitty over my head. It's funny and a couple other things. But anyways, this one right here, okay, so this bag about to be 4 ounces. I got to write the date on this joint. January 31st, 2021. Got to make sure everything is measured out right. It's a little bit too much in there. So this is the type of stuff that I never could have understood or even thought about. I had no business thinking about measuring breast milk and putting them in bags. But sitting there thinking about this, it came to my attention that, man, there's a lot of people that don't understand this process. A lot of people only see pictures on Facebook, fathers being fathers. Kudos to you, my guy. You're just doing your job. It's a privilege to do that job. You gotta make sure ain't no air in here. But I'm sitting up here bagging this stuff up, and I'm like, bruh, don't nobody see this side of things. All you see is the smiling faces. You know, you don't see the situation. If I had hair, I've been done pulled a lot of it out by now from being tired all night and day. Days in, days out, you know, not knowing what day it is, knowing that you off of work, but you still got work to do. Knowing that if you don't do it, ain't nobody else gonna do it. Knowing that every individual in your household relies on you to function in your identity 100%. You cannot cut corners in your responsibility as the provider. You cannot cut corners in your responsibility as the one who is supposed to be fulfilling the role as father. You don't get to do that. You don't get to cut corners in your responsibilities of being a husband. You don't get to cut corners when it comes to these things that are literally life and death. What you don't teach your kids, you can only hope that somebody else teaches them. At least teach it to them the right way. And what you don't do for your spouse, well, it's another subject. But, man, just looking at what I'm doing and looking at the fact that nobody know nothing about this. You ain't got no kids. Everybody know about not getting sleep. You know, you could be not getting sleep for many reasons. You could be not getting sleep because you got 2 jobs, business you trying to get started, get going. You work for somebody and your job is always demanding that you put in overtime, or you got goals that you're trying to meet, and you know you need some money, so you go and you hustle. You do what you got to do to make sure you got enough ends for them to meet. But this stuff right here, man, you don't get no applause for this. Ain't no accolades for this. Now one of my children gonna look up and be like, Daddy, I remember you used to bag mommy breast milk up so we can eat. They don't care, first of all. And they're not gonna remember. My kids ain't old enough for that. This is the stuff that you do because you love. This is what love look like. Love don't look for applause. Love don't seek attention for the things that it's doing. It just does it. Love don't care about all that extra stuff that come with doing stuff for people. It what you care about. Love just does. It ain't no strings attached when it's real. All right, so that little bit right there, it's gonna go in a little tube. This little tube right here. It's what we like to call a chaser. So when baby girl, when we think she done had enough, and she tell us otherwise, go ahead and warm this up just a little bit. And you get the idea.
Y'all, as much as I am saying, this man was still muted. Yup, that version of Jared was still muted. And I didn't even know it. I didn't know what was going on with me. I didn't know that I was about to enter into another tragedy. I had no idea. I thought I was over the tragic stuff. I thought that was it. But what I ended up finding out shortly after that was just the beginning of my journey. This was around the time I had ended up going through the process a couple months later. That was January 31st, 2021. So fast forward, because I wasn't about to play that whole video, it's long. Fast forward, I end up getting injured, re-injured after going through a whole situation in the previous year. I get re-injured because of somebody else's negligence, and then I start suffering. See, I started suffering because I was compromised as a man. Like, how am I going to take care of my family? Thought I was going to lose my job. Everything was just going downhill. It was getting bad. And I got to a place where I just lost it. I lost it. I couldn't work. I couldn't take care of my family and do the things that I wanted to do. I lost it. But because of that, when I came back to my senses, when I came to realize that, man, God got your back, literally, but God had my actual back, and I realized, man, I doubted God, and I knew I had taken my eyes off of God because I was believing my own assumptions. See, no one told me half the stuff that I was believing. So I was telling myself all of these stories that were literally preventing me from being present mentally for my family and anything and everything that I did. I needed help. I needed recovery. I needed healing. I needed somebody to actually wake me up, to shake me up and wake me up. But no one did it. It was nobody but the good God, the good Lord did it. So I remember going on this long walk, and that was the first time in a long time. And by the time I got back home, I made a decision. And the decision that I made led me to actually joining an actual program. In that program, I ended up becoming somebody that was valued and appreciated and cherished. And I said, you know what? I think I should try the speaking thing. So I ended up going through a certification program with speaking. And in the process of getting that certification, my eyes were open and I started seeing more of, like, oh my goodness. But here's the first thing I ran into at the end of that certification. In a private conversation, one of the coaches said, Jared, to be honest with you, you didn't even need this. I said, what? She said, you already got it. Just believe in yourself. That didn't connect for me. I didn't understand that. I'm like, I just paid y'all all this money just for you to tell me I already got it. Yeah. Well, in between time, while on that journey right there, these are some other things that I was doing. So y'all see me. Like you look at me now, you know what I'm saying? I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. But I'm about 175 pounds, and I feel all right. However, there's a reason that I got the way that I am. And I promise you, you don't want this shortcut. See, I got sick, y'all. I'm jumping the gun. I'm jumping the gun. Let's back it up. Let's back it up. So y'all like my background? Y'all like all of this stuff? You see, you hear my audio. You hear that? Okay, great. Let me show you how I started, because there are plenty of people who are still muted, not realizing someone needs to hear their message. Someone needs to hear your story. Someone needs to hear your perspective. But I want to show you where I started, because I hate when people think, oh, well, if I could speak like you, or if I did this, I did that, if I had a microphone like that, if I had the cool background like that, let me show you where I started so you don't get it twisted. This is where I actually started, y'all. This was March 31st, 2021. one.
Man, I am not going to lie. And the reason I'm nervous behind this camera is something I can't even explain. But man, I am not going to lie. I'm nervous behind this camera. And the reason I'm nervous behind this camera is something I can't even explain. But I made a video 2 months ago, January 31st. And I originally had no intentions of putting that out. That's something I was doing for like a personal documentary for my children. And their children's children, potentially, you know? And my wife was just egging me on, like, yeah, you should put it out. You should put it out. You should put it out. And I was like, I should? Man, I took a hiatus from social media and all that, just like many other people. But I got to a point where I realized I didn't have like 1 million views or nothing like that, but after seeing so many people comment, more people than I expected, and after seeing so many people viewed it, it hit me. You have something to say. And I'm one of those people who, if you know me personally, you know I've always got something to say. But I honestly have a lot to say. And it's not to judge anybody. It's not to chastise anyone. It's none of that. In all honesty, it's for the purpose of encouragement, because we all need it. Man, there are so many people going through things that I can relate to that you would never know that I could relate to it. There's so many people who have been through things that I can relate to that you would never know that I could relate to unless I opened my mouth and chose to be transparent. I'm a pretty private person. I'm very open. I'm transparent, but I'm private. Y'all don't see none of my kids online. You don't see no pictures. You know, at one point you might have seen my daughter, but I was a first-time parent and I just wanted to show the whole world, but that came to an end quickly. I haven't consistently been on Facebook or anything like that since 2017. A lot has happened. You know, one of the major factors of my personal transformations and whatnot was the death of my father and the birth of my children and plenty other in-betweens, but those are some of the top reasons for change. I mean, kind of typical, you know, life and death. But you got life, you got death, you got pain, you got suffering. I mean, I done dealt with quite a bit and I'm dealing with quite a bit as well right now. And one thing that I've come to understand is that when you go through things, you ain't the only one that's gone through it. You're not the only one that's going through it. And there's a purpose. There's a purpose. There's always a purpose behind you being shaped and molded. The issue is when we can't see clearly. We so tired of being frustrated. We so tired of being overwhelmed. We so tired of going through that we can't think straight. We can't see straight, and we sure can't hear straight. And I just got to a point where it's like, man, I need to open up my mouth, put my face on camera, and speak. So I will be doing this a whole lot more often. I will be speaking on personal topics of life and perspectives and whatnot. But it's not for me. It's for you. Whoever you are or whoever that you know may need it. Because we all got purpose. But personally, I believe we have many purposes. I believe that every human being on this earth is a resource. Just like money is a resource, you're a resource. And because you're a resource, you have many purposes. You don't just take $1 and spend it in one place and that's it forever. And every dollar you ever spend is going to go to that one place. No, you choose to put your money where it goes. You purpose for where your money goes. Well, if money is a resource and money is really just what we agree it is, then you being a resource has the same reality. The difference is people don't get to determine who you are. You were created. And when you were created, there was an intentionality behind you being here. And it's not just for you to exist. Don't ever get caught up in the acronym of life. Living individually for existence. You were made for more than simply existing. And if you don't believe me, just ask somebody how you've impacted them. If you've offended them at any given point in time and it transformed them to be a certain type of way, or if you inspired them in such a way that it caused them to see life from a different angle. Either way, you had a role in that individual's being. You participated in that individual's shaping of their mind. And those aren't things that just happen accidentally. Nah, you're a resource, and not everybody uses their resources wisely. But these are the type of things that I want to discuss. These are the type of topics that I want to touch on. And if anybody's willing to listen, I don't care if it's just one person, I'm willing to talk. So, for those of you who may not know me, if this has been shared, my name is Jared Walker, also known as Jaw. That's my initials. But I'm just going to do what I know I should be doing, and that is encouraging people. And as long as I'm doing that, I'm functioning in my identity. So come on this journey with me. I prolonged this process for so long trying to make everything perfect. I gotta have this, I gotta have that, I gotta have this, I gotta have that. And then I look at individuals who have inspired me and how they started. They didn't have all these fancy things. They just used what they had. And I personally don't believe that any of us have been shortchanged as far as being equipped with what we need in order to do what we have been purposed to do in various areas of our life. So that means your identity came with a kit, a kit. And you choose to use whatever is in that kit, how you choose the purpose for it to be used. And because you are a resource, some of us weren't taught how to properly use our resources, and some of us were. Some of us figured it out along the way. But at the end of the day, everything that is in you has the ability to change lives. So I'm going to use mine to do whatever it's meant to do. Once again, I'm Jared Andre Walker. And I'm simply here to have a conversation with whomever it is that's willing to listen.
Do you see how big this man is? That man did not know what was coming his way. See, he was unmuting himself, but he was still a little muted. That man right there was still muted, believe it or not. I was in the process of unmuting myself, but I didn't know. Like, I speak now with confidence. I speak now with competence. I'm not just trying to encourage you. I'm trying to pull out of you who it is that God said you are. And if you don't know that, it's my responsibility to unmute you. Why? Because that's what the wisdom of the word says to do. I'm supposed to speak up for those who are mute, who need to be unmuted. Well, here's the thing. If you don't know that you're muted, then you don't need somebody just to come and tell you something. You need somebody to show you. You need somebody to make you aware of your options, your opportunity, your power. So if I have abilities that I need to be put into use, then I need to put them in use to show you that you can do it too. Now, here's the crazy part. The person that you just witnessed right there, that man was 240 something pounds. I, that man was very, very, very muted. That man had no idea what was also coming next. So he had experienced the loss of his father. He experienced becoming a father 3 different times with baby number one, baby number two, baby number three. He experienced being married. He experienced going through all of this stuff with a wife by his side. However, he did not know what was coming next. See, all of that was 2021 that you just saw. That man had no clue what was coming in 2023. Because here's the thing. In 2023, what happened to me? I did not foresee. But I showed you the first video. I was packing up breast milk. Y'all saw that, and if you didn't see it, you missed out. But that's what was going on. Okay. Well, I told you also in that video, I had a back injury that took me out of work from January all the way to October of 2020 during the whole pandemic. While everybody else is focused on COVID, I'm focused on trying to recover. We had a baby on the way. Baby gets here. Then I'm able to be in a position to help my family to a certain extent. But look, just the following year, it gets bad. It gets worse, actually. So then I'm going through all of this while still grieving. I'm still mourning at this point. I'm mourning my father's death. I'm grieving. I'm going through all this stuff, right? Right? I'm going through all that. Well, guess what? Little did I know that right after our my wife and I's, my goodness. So this is year number 12 that we will have been married. 12 years. Last year was 11 years. So I didn't know that our 10-year anniversary would literally be the year that it gets really bad. And when I tell you really bad, I mean so bad that I did not see this coming at all. What ended up happening, y'all, is we went through quite a few emergencies in 2020. 2023, excuse me. 2020 as well, but 2023. These emergencies happen. And I end up having to leave my job multiple times trying to just take care of my family. Well, here's the craziest part about it all, right? Those emergencies prepared me. What did they prepare me for? The worst news that I thought I could receive outside of a death situation. I woke up after celebrating 10 years of marriage with my wife. About a week later, I woke up on a Sunday, October 1st, 2023. I couldn't open my eyes. I thought I was just tired. I didn't know what was going on. That was on a Sunday. By the end of that week, I'm out of work. I had no energy. I felt off, but I still couldn't open my eyes all the way. Had ptosis. I didn't know what the heck was going on. The following week, I get a diagnosis halfway. Following week, I get another one. The following week, okay, so they're telling me this one thing. They're convinced this is what it is. And guess what? Nobody did any proper testing. No MRIs, no CT scans, nothing. They just medicated me. They just put medicine in my body. So my eyes were open. The ptosis was subsided, all that good stuff. But I was unable to show up every single day due to the fact that I was in extreme pain every day. Do you know what it feels like to be in pain and every day you don't know how you're going to feel when you wake up or go to bed? You don't even know if you're going to be able to stay asleep. I had no idea what the heck was going on with me. I just knew I was suffering in silence too. The only person that saw it was my wife. So I end up finally getting to a point where I'm like, listen, bump all of this. I'm taking control of my life. I don't care what anybody has to say. So I started cutting people, not cutting them off, but putting people in their proper place in my life because nobody cared about me the way that my wife and children do. And at the end of the day, it was my responsibility to take care of them and nobody else's. So I got to a point where I was like, listen, I got to take control because I don't know what's going to happen. And the last thing I want to do is be in the same situation I was in 2020, all over again, 2021, all over again at the beginning of 2023. all over again. Because guess what? I've been there before. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. I know what it feels like to suffer. I know what it feels like to struggle. I know what it feels like to overcome. And just like you're an overcomer. I'm an overcomer. We are overcomers because we still here in context of everything that has happened in our lives. We still here. So I made my mind. I said, oh no. See, I done got these certifications. I left a whole bunch of stuff out of how I became the person. But the perspective I have, I earned it. I learned it. I paid for it. I went through processes. I did a lot of stuff. What about you, though? What have you invested your time and your life into that you're not putting to use at a high level? What have you already been equipped to do something with that you're not putting to high use because you're being muted? What are you still muted about? What are you not speaking on? What are you not doing? What are you not saying? Who are you not showing up for that you don't know you're not showing up for? Because I know when I got to that point where I was like, listen, this is it. I'm not going back. I cannot turn back. It was after I got that proper diagnosis. See, I didn't get a legit diagnosis until June of 2024. Actually, no, August of 2024. I finally got testing. They finally hit me with, I got 2 MRIs and a CT scan in 2024. Now, why is it that from October of 2023, I didn't get anything done right until just, I'm telling y'all, I was going through it. And what I went through prepared me for who I am now. Because when I got the proper diagnosis, it was they told me in August of 2024, they diagnosed me with MS, multiple sclerosis. And you would think, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. No. Doctor told me that. I'm like, oh, that's it? He said, yeah. I said, let's go. He looked at me, he said, what? I said, let's go. Now, why did I respond that way? Because I got mobility in my body. I know what it feels like to not have that. I got clarity in my mind. I know what it feels like to not have that. I have control of my voice. I know what it feels like to not have that. I have a mind that works. I know what it feels like to not have that. I know what it feels like to be the person who was so muted because of doubt. I doubted that I could be who it is that I was capable of being because I had not been shown it. You don't need the example of what to do all the time. Sometimes you just need to know what not to do. And I have plenty of examples of what not to do and who I decided not to be. Well, at this point in my life, I was 34 and I made up my mind fully. I will never go backwards again. I will never be muted again. I am the person who shows up in people's lives now and I take away your excuse. Oh, your body working just fine? What's your excuse? Get up and get going. You got purpose. You got work to do. Oh, your health, you don't have any diseases or anything like that? Oh, okay, well, get up and get going. You got this, fam. You got more than I do right now. Oh, well, you don't have the money, neither did I. I remember being broke, struggling. Nobody knew it. Why? Because I couldn't work. I can't go get a check. What did I have to do? I had to stop relying on someone to pay me and started relying on the gifts that God gave me so that I could use my mind and my mouth to make my money. So I get paid for conversation. And I started all of this music y'all hear, every track that you've heard, I created that. So I started using my music to make my money. I use my mouth literally using my mind. I speak. But that's the same gift and skill I had the whole time. I just couldn't see it. I look at me now. If you look at that video, you saw that man was big. I don't look like that anymore. I don't feel like that anymore. That's not who I am. Because of who I've had the privilege of journeying through to become, I don't ever look at a person and think they ain't no good. They can't do this. They can't do that, because I remember being where I was. I remember being in a place, a dark, deep, sunken place. And I remember not having anybody to tell me any of these things. I was on my own trying to figure it out. So now I understand how important it is to speak life, to let a person know, hey, you got this. Why? Because nobody was telling me. I just had to have the proof. Sometimes that's all you need. You need evidence and proof. I talk about my scars. Why? Because if I show you my scars, that's evidence Yes, I suffered. Yes, it hurt. But that's also proof that I made it through. And so can you. I have scars where you may have wounds right now. See, I just told you they diagnosed, I got misdiagnosed, misprescribed, and struggled and suffered for a while. Fast forward, I get the proper diagnosis, and next thing you know it, I'm like, hey, let's go. Let's go. Why? Because I'm not afraid. What am I supposed to be afraid of? I'm supposed to be scared now? Oh, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like, yeah, but what if this happens? And what if that happens? What if my condition was just conditioning me for God's intention for my legacy? What if I needed to be where I needed to be just so I could show up to the hospital where people had it worse than me and be able to converse and communicate with them and let them know what they needed to hear at the right time at the right place? What if me struggling and suffering internally was allowing me to actually empathize with people that don't get understood? If you don't know what it's like to wake up every day and be in pain and not know how you're going to feel all throughout the day, then there's a lot of things you miss as far as perspective is concerned. See, I know what it's like. I understand. I've been through so much now that I can comprehend, like, oh man, you struggling, bruh. You struggling, sis. Yeah, what should I do? How could I? Listen, first and foremost, understand you ain't alone and you don't need to do this alone. That's the number one mistake most people make. They struggle and they suffer in silence and think that nobody cares. I told myself that lie for a long time. So what did I do? I started going around showing people that I care. And then I found out I had been lying to myself that whole time. There are plenty of people that care. But if you don't open up your mouth, if you don't unmute yourself, you'll never know. You don't know why you're going through what you're going through a lot of the time because you don't open up your mouth to speak on it. So if you don't speak, who is going to listen? You sometimes the only reason you still going through what you're going through is because you haven't unmuted yourself. Some of the things we experience in life are literally just opportunities for us to unmute. It's that nudge, it's that push. And in some cases, like mine, it's a shove. Like, hurry up. People are waiting on you. They need you. Where are you? Why are you hiding? Why are you no longer present? What's going on? And that right there is why I understand. I showed y'all those videos for you to see where I came from. I went from packaging breast milk, struggling and not knowing it, to being in a position to where I'm like, listen, I got to open up my mouth and say something, but my body wasn't presentable. I didn't feel right, and I knew it. I was just, it was a lot of things going on with that man, but yet I did not know that just a few years later, they would let me know that, hey, you got lesions on your brain, and they've actually been there for a while. I didn't know they were going to tell me that. I had no idea. But see, after you suffered enough and you struggled enough, you kind of, if you pay close attention, you kind of realize just how much control you don't have and just how important it is to truly trust God. Bump people's assumptions, bump people's opinions, bump people's feelings about what it is that you, if they don't understand, that's fine. That's okay. They don't need to understand you. You need to understand you. And you need to understand what you need to do. And one thing that you need to do is unmute yourself, because that's the purpose in your pain. The purpose in your pain is to produce a perspective that can allow somebody else to make it. There are people right now struggling. They just need somebody to tell them that you got this, but not with words alone, but with action. See, if I never told you that I had been diagnosed with MS, you would never know. You would have no idea. But I tell you this not to get you to feel bad for me, but to tell you you have no excuses. What's your excuse? I show up the way that I do in rooms that I never knew I would be in. I don't go around thinking, oh, woe is me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm struggling. No, I don't do that. And I'm not mocking anyone. I'm just saying, you got this, fam. If I got this, you got this. We got this. Today is March 10th, 2025. March 10th, 2025 is what I put on my calendar in March of 2021. Actually, it was May 2021, and I said that would be the last day I worked at my old job, General Motors. Well, guess what? God said otherwise. It was December 17th, 2024. After already being out of work for a whole year, over a year, I realized you can't go back. You'll never be able to work there again. And because of that, guess what? You got to leave so that you can lead. But lead who? Lead those who are looking for you, Jared. Well, who's looking for you? If you're watching this video, you have somebody that's looking for you. They're searching for you. If you have a successful business right now, you understand that. That's why you're constantly trying to get more and more clients and leads. But if you don't know it and you don't have a business and you don't understand the value in your perspective, then I'm going to need you to open up your eyes. Because where I was at in my life, my eyes had to be closed so that he can open my eyes again. See, when God opened my eyes, he had to break me so that he can put me back together again. I'm not Humpty Dumpty though. See, he restored me in such a way that I get to show up in an amazing way at a capacity that I did not know I could. And this is after I got sick. Ain't that crazy? Ain't it crazy? How you have to be brought low so that you can be brought high? See, I had to go down and I had to lose quite a bit in order to gain and go up and be as fruitful as I get to be. I don't got to be anything. I get to be. And the fact that I'm still here gives evidence and proof of why you can still do this too. You got this, fam. I'm not telling you about, oh, I unmuted myself because I struggled and I suffered and you can do it too. No, I'm saying I unmuted myself because I had to. Because somebody is going to hear this and they needed to hear this. They needed to understand that they can do this too. They needed to understand they have no excuse. I don't care what people say about my condition and position. Well, you can't do this because I don't care. I pushed myself. I remember paying to be in a room just to, again, by the way. See, the first time I paid a couple thousand, but the second time I paid 25,000 to do what? Just to find out that once I finally got on stage, I got told the same words. Jared, you already got this. You already got it. And it's like, man, how many times are you going to have to hear the same thing before you just accept it? The reason that I could not understand of what they were talking about was because I was still muted. And once I unmuted myself and I started showing up in ways that I did not even know that I would and I could and I should, guess what? My life started changing based on the lives around me that I was watching transform. Why? Because I had to become the person that could do the things so that I can have what that person has. That person has a whole lot more wisdom than I ever could have imagined. I don't think myself just a super wise person, but I know that the value of my pain has produced a perspective that nobody can take away from me. What about you? What about you? What have you experienced that can't nobody take away from you? What stories are you not telling that you might need to open up your mouth and unmute yourself and tell? What is it that you are experiencing right now that is allowing you to show up in a way that is causing other people to be the best versions of themselves? Wouldn't you agree that it's a byproduct of what you've already been through? The things you've outlasted, the things that you've overcome? If that is the case, if that be the truth, then here's what I need you to do. I need you to put your hand on your chest and tap your chest and say, I got this. Because you ain't new to this. Just like me, you true to this. And we got things to do. We got work to do. We got lives to change. We got people to save. We have messages that need to get put out. And if your message is missing anything, it is more than likely missing the right sound. Everything that you've heard all day today has been because I created all of this. Well, what about you? Where's your message at? Is your message landing correctly because it has the right sound, or is it missing something? See, the sonic sound that you are missing is the identity that you should actually have. You deserve it. You deserve to have your sonic identity understood. And I call this supersonic success system. At the end of the day, if you don't have a system, then you ain't gonna be able to make it, fam. I wouldn't be able to do the things I'm doing if I didn't have systems in place. The way that my camera shows up, the way that my audio shows up, the way that I show up, the way that I do everything that I do at the level that I do it, all of this stuff requires systems. And if you don't have a system for your sound, then you don't even know how to get your you don't know how to present your message the right way. I promise you, there is somebody who needs to hear what you have to say, and they need to hear it with your sound attached to it. If they hear your message with your music attached to it, then they'll be able to make the connection and get the transformation. But if they're not getting the transformation because you're missing something, I think you should want to figure that part out. You got to solve a problem so that you can solve more problems. And that's how it goes. So I'm sitting up here going through all the stuff that I went through just to finally get to the place where I'm about to have to put the ellipsis on it, the dot, dot, dot. Because guess what? There's more to this story. And the next part of this story that I get to tell you about is the part to how in the world did I learn how to do the things that I do at the level that I do it? That's another story for another day, and I look forward to actually sharing it with you. If you found this valuable though, I honestly really want to know, what was your favorite part? Share this, like this, love this, subscribe if you on YouTube. Whatever the case, I want you to understand that not only do you got this, we got this. And if there's anything that you need, more than likely it's going to be your story told the right way and your sound to actually go along with it. Because if you put the proper message and the right music and melody behind it, you can change and transform lives even more. Why? Because that's what they do in movies. But with that being said, I value all of y'all. I love y'all. I'll be back with the next part. I want to make sure I get this to y'all the right way because there's more to this story. Oh my goodness. I might tell y'all about that time I almost got fired while producing beats on the actual assembly line that I was working at. But until then, much love, stay focused, and remember, whether you woke up on purpose or not, you still woke up with purpose attached to your voice. The question is, how intentional are you willing to be with it? Are you willing to unmute yourself, or are you going to stay quiet? I don't think you're going to start hiding. I think you're going to come out of hiding, unmute yourself, and go and do exactly what it is that you meant to do, because you got this. Much love, y'all.